So, in your view, and this is two questions I'm trying to club into one, is what is the role of PPP in this entire space in the future, according to you? And from an EPC perspective, what do you think are the interventions required in the contracts for them to become more attractive for the private sector as well as more value creating for the overall economy?
Okay. So as I said in the beginning that RBNL was mandated for execution of projects and resource mobilization, which was subsequently withdrawn by Government of India considering IRFC was there. But the role was also there to form the PPPs, these SPVs, the special purpose vehicle, RBNL being the umbrella SPV. We formed 5 number of special purpose vehicles. All have been commissioned. I have got few numbers. These are very interesting numbers in a sense that with an equity infusion of around 1300 crores, we have executed the projects worth 14,000 crores. And without single paise investment by Government of India and Ministry of Railways, they have got a revenue to the extent of 1.30 lakh crores. So what Mr. Sinha, the additional member planning, was telling, I slightly disagree on the part of construction of the infrastructures through PPP models. See, the policy for this infrastructure creation in Ministry of Railway was first made in the year 2008. It was revised in 2009, and then the final policy which is in place and is still being used is 2012. Can you imagine that in last 12 years, there has not been any initiative to attract the private players? See, if you want to really move forward, I will quote Mr. Kudesia also. He was talking about the teamwork, the contractor and the contract manager. See, until unless we have the synergy of these teamwork, we will not be able to deliver the EPC works. See, the teamwork will divide the task, it will multiply the success. So, we'll have to understand that it has to be a teamwork. So, coming back to this PPP model, I will take some more time, please allow me, because we are in Delhi and I will cite 2 examples. Let us take the examples of the road projects, this Gurgaon Expressway and then Noida, this toll. See, Gurgaon, it was sanctioned in the 90s, it was commissioned in 2008, and on the very first day, the traffic was around 1.4 lakhs vehicles per day against the DPR projection of 50-60,000. So, the traffic, it achieved 5 years before that. The reason was that there was a change in the land use. A lot of developments took place. Contrary to this, the Noida toll plaza, which was again sanctioned in 90s, it could achieve only 37% in terms of the traffic, only 28% in terms of the finance revenue. So it failed. So the importance is that whenever we are making any this PPP models projects, the DPR has to be perfect. The IRR, the project IRR, the equity IRR, everything should be done in a very professional manner, number 1. Number 2, the debt service coverage ratio. For a typical infrastructure project, it has to be more than 1.2, but for the railway infrastructures, we consider 1.1 is also good enough. Sorry. Now, there has to be a sensitivity analysis. What is sensitivity analysis? Suppose we assume that the project will be completed in 3 years. We are able to complete in 5 years. We have taken loan at certain interest from the financial institutions, say 8%, MCLR plus 1%, and the interest rate goes up or goes down. The traffic projection, as I cited 2 examples of the Gurgaon Expressway and the Noida, it has given some results which were not anticipated. Then you need to have a sensitivity analysis that will firm up your decision in moving forward. So whenever you are having the viable projects, we should go for the PPP model. So the PPP models have got the advantages and the disadvantages also. So it has got a better value for money. This is the first thing. The finance infusion by the private sector. And the third is the efficiency of a private sector. Mr. Sinha was telling that 90% of the works will be done by the private sector. That is not exactly the PPP model. See, few days back, my vehicle got stuck while coming from the airport. I took Ola. So when I traveled from Ola, I realized that there is the condition of the car is not good. But then I thought, okay, fine, I am going to my house, I'll get down and my job is over. But see, here comes the ownership. If you do not take the private players as part of the ownership, the project or the EPC contract will not result into a positive manner. You'll have to appreciate this. They are our partners. See, earlier we were only the contract managers. Now we are also EPC contractors. We understand the pain of the EPC contracts. See, whatever Mr. Kodesia was telling, I fully endorse that the provisions made in the EPC has to be perfect. Then only you will be able to deliver. See, we had gone to Singapore from the RVNL team for the purpose of basically further disinvestment. So, one Mr. Desai came and he said, why RVNL is going for the OFS? Plenty of projects are there from the Ministry of Railways. Then the DPM Joint Secretary, JS from the Ministry of Railways, they all were there, and in that particular forum, they said that we will have the EPC contracts and there will be a competition amongst the so many contractors, and then we'll have at a lesser cost. Then 2-3 gentlemen stood up and said, have you ever worked out the landing cost? Landing cost of the EPC contracts. Landing cost you will understand after 5 years, 7 years, when the project is completed. You will have the huge claims, because in the EPC contracts, there are so many points for the litigations. There are so many things which are required to be supplied by the clients. So what I wanted to tell you, Mr. Thomas, is that the PPP is a basically lengthy, long-term, slightly inflexible, but it may be having slightly higher cost of the finance, but it has got the efficiency. We have commissioned 5 number of SPVs where we had the equity varying from 30 to 50%. We cannot have the equity infusion less than 26% as per the policy guidelines of the Government of India, and it cannot be more than 50%, because if it is more than 50%, then it will become a subsidiary. So the PPP model in creation of infrastructures have got a lot of role to play in time to come. As AM Planning was saying, that we are going to have 25 lakhs crore of infrastructure projects in next 25 years. So this money will not come from the government. We need to depend upon the private sector, and only by giving the contracts, they may not be comfortable. You'll have to provide the ownership. Regarding the EPC contract, we need to have a few days back I was going through an article in Financial Express. The Ministry of Roadways, they have highways, and the NHAI, they have modified the model concession agreements. They have done so many things to attract the private players. Whereas in the railways, the same kind of approach is not available to attract the private sectors, at least for implementation of the typical railway infrastructure projects. Here in the forum, I want to tell you that typical railway infrastructure project is very, very complicated, very, very complex, and people think that by having money in the pocket we can purchase it. It is not. It has to be resolved technically. So the question was basically of having 2 parts, about the PPP model in the infrastructures, and the second part about the documentation of the EPC. So the EPC document has to be perfect. There are the eligibility criteria should be made in such a manner that eligible contractors only come. Then see, if you are awarding the contracts, small value contracts, then you also will have to integrate so many things. Why are you taking so much of burden for this? Call for the bigger tenders. make the eligibility criteria in such a manner that the only top 5 or top 10 contractors of the country will participate. Then only you will get the real benefit of this infrastructure creation, which is huge in time to come. Hope I have been able to satisfy all of you.